Hey guys, welcome to the online launch for Blush Magazine. My name is Liana and this is our first beauty tutorial. Today we're going to be doing this look, which is good for fall. So stay tuned if you want to learn how to do this. Okay, so let's get started with the eyes. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is use MAC's Painterly Paint Pot to prime your eyelids. But you can use whatever primer you have at home. And just put that all the way up to the brow bone. Okay, so next, you could take any color that's gonna blend the shadows on your lid to the ones in your brow bone and all the smoky colors. You wanna use a color that's gonna blend everything together. So I'm gonna use a little bit of Limit from the Naked 3 palette. It's like a light pink mauve color. And just blend that into the crease very lightly. And then after that, I'm gonna take Naked from the Naked 1 palette because it's a little bit too pink, so I just want to balance it out a little bit. And these two colors together make a really good transition color for the other shadows that we're going to be putting on later. Okay, so once you've done that, take any shimmery like taupe color or brown that you have. I'm going to be using Liar from the Naked 3 palette. It's kind of just like a shimmery like champagne color. And I find that these actually work better if you use your finger instead of a brush because it just kind of picks up the pigment better. So I'm just going to put that all over the eyelid and kind of into the inner corner a little bit because it's shimmery and it'll help highlight the area. And after that, we want to further brighten up the inner corner. So I'm going to take Dust from the Naked 3 palette as well. And just with my finger, put that in the inner corners. So after you're done with that, just take a darker brown color and we're going to use a brush for this step. So I'm just using a flat brush like this because it's more precise than like a big fluffy brush would be. And I'm going to use Factory from the Naked 3 palette, which is a darker shimmery brown. And we're going to put that in the outer corner of your eye and blend it about halfway into the crease. And don't worry if it looks a little bit harsh right now because we're going to blend it out after. And the transition color that we used before is going to help with that. Okay, so after that step is done, just take your fluffy brush. A lot of people use MAC's 217. This one's from Sephora and it works well also, so either one is good. And just blend out the color that we just put on the eye. And you can even add a little bit more of the transition color if you feel like it's still too harsh. So that's what I'm going to do. So once you're finished with that, take any burgundy color that you have. This is Sketch by MAC, and it's my favorite color for the fall. I use it almost every day. So I'm going to take the same brush that we just used, the flat one, and I'm just going to put this in the outer V of the eye, not all the way into like where we put the other dark brown shadow. And this is really good for really any eye color, but it looks especially good on blue and green eyes, so if you have that, it'll look really great. And then take your fluffy brush again and blend. Okay, so now we're going to take one more eyeshadow to darken it a little bit more. I'm going to be using Dark Side from the Naked 3 palette. And that's like, it's not black, it's not really brown, it's kind of somewhere in the middle. And I'm just going to put that where we just put Sketch, but just like really just on the outer corners. This is going to help really to define your eyes, but not make it look too obvious or too harsh. And then just go back in with the fluffy brush again and just keep blending it out. Okay, so now we're going to just highlight underneath our brow bone. So take either, if you want a shimmery look, you can use the color that you used to highlight the inner corner. So that would be Dust. I'm going to use Strange, also from the Naked 3 palette. It's just a really light pink matte color. So that'll highlight without, and like kind of finish off the eye look, but without making it look too dramatic. And I'm actually just gonna put a little bit more of that pink transition color, Limit, between the eyeshadows and the brow bone, just to make it look more of like a seamless transition. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the brows. So the first thing I'm gonna do is use a tan eyeshadow. This is called Velvet Revolver from the Too Faced Natural Eye Palette, just to kind of shape it, and then I'll just go in with a darker eyeshadow later. It's easier to use a lighter one first and get the shape that you want and then go over it. Now I'm going to take the color next to it, which is just another dark brown color, and I'm just going to fill them in a little bit more so they get a little bit more defined. And then the last step that I'm going to do is just take, it's an eyeliner actually, it's not an eyebrow pencil, but it's taupe from NYX, and I'm just going to go over my eyebrows, and this helps keep them in place. You can also use a gel if you have that. Okay, so now that we're done with the eyeshadow and the brows, I'm going to move on to eyeliner. For this step, you can use any kind of eyeliner that you're comfortable with. I'm going to use liquid because I like to do a wing and that's just easier for me. But you could also use a gel eyeliner with an angled brush or just like a really thin eyeliner brush, or you can use pencil too. So this is how you would do it with liquid. I just make the line first and then I make the wing after. We're just going to curl our lashes and apply some mascara. I'm using the Clump Crusher by CoverGirl, and I really like it. I think personally that using drugstore mascaras, most of them are just as good as the high-end ones. So if you're going to spend your money on makeup, it's probably just better to splurge on like things like eyeshadows and just keep mascara, you know, from a drugstore, unless you have a favorite that's more high-end, but that's just what I do. Okay, so now we're gonna do the rest of the face. I already applied my primer and foundation before the video, so I'm just gonna get started with concealer. Actually, so first we're gonna use a corrector. If you don't have any like dark circles under your eyes and you're lucky, then you don't have to do this step, but I have some dark circles naturally, so I'm gonna use Bobbi Brown's corrector in light to medium bisque. It's a salmon color, which is really helpful because it cancels out all like the dark blue tones under your eyes. So I'm just gonna pat that with my ring finger underneath my eyes. So next I'm gonna use MAC Pro Longwear Concealer, and this is in NW15. And for this step, it's kind of like a highlighting step and a concealer step, like all in one. So you wanna use something that's like a shade or two lighter than your skin tone. So I just pump some on my hand, and I'm gonna put it in like a triangle kind of shape underneath my eyes. And that just helps to like lift everything and make it look really flawless. And also just make sure to use your ring finger because it puts the least amount of pressure on your skin, and the skin underneath your eyes is really sensitive, so you don't wanna tug at it too much. And I'm just gonna use my beauty blender to blend that out more. You can also use a brush or another sponge that you have. Okay, so now to further highlight your face, just take the same concealer and just run it down the bridge of your nose and blend that, and then up onto the center of your forehead. Okay, so the next step is to set that. So I'm gonna use Makeup Forever HD powder. And I love this stuff because it just gives you a really flawless finish, and it works for every skin tone because it's like, it's clear, there's no color to it. So just set only where you just put the concealer because the rest of your face, we still didn't do that yet. Okay, so bronzer is the next step. So I'm using Hoola Bronzer by Benefit, and this little blush brush from Dior that just came with something and it happens to work for me. but really anything that you can just get in to contour is good. So just take a little bit of that on your brush and start to work that into right under your cheekbone. Also, if you take your brush, if you don't know where to put it, if you take your brush and put it at the top of your ear and angle it down, that's where the bronzer is supposed to go. Another tip is only blend up. You don't want to blend anything down because that just kind of drags everything down and defeats the whole purpose of the contouring. And just bring that in like halfway, like to here. Just make sure not to bring it in too far. Just blend it up. Okay, so then we are going to switch to a smaller brush. I have no idea where this is from. It's just from a drugstore, I think, and it's just really any little brush that you want to use is good. You can even use the fluffy brush before that we used for eyeshadow, as long as you just clean it off because it'll have shadow on it. And take the same bronzer, and you just want to put that on the sides of your nose. So basically just where we didn't put the highlighting concealer before. And then take your favorite highlighter. Mine is High Beam from Benefit. A powder highlighter will also work for this though. And then if you're using a liquid one, then just put like a few little dots of it on your cheekbones, and you want to blend it in a C kind of motion right around like on the tops of your cheekbones. And then the last step for your face is to add some blush. So I'm using Dandelion blush from Benefit. It's just like a light pink color. I really have fair skin, so it's a good color for me. Because a lot of blushes on me just like are way too dark and they just look really unnatural. So just take your blush brush and apply that kind of in between where the bronzer is and where the highlighter is, and just make sure not to go in too far because then it looks kind of unnatural. Okay, so now we're gonna do lips. So for the fall, dark burgundy and dark red lips are really big, so that's what we're gonna do today. So I'm gonna start off with the lip liner called Vino from MAC, and I'm just gonna line my lips and then fill them in. Okay, so next I'm gonna use my favorite lipstick right now. It's called Diva, and it's a matte lipstick by MAC. So I'm just gonna put that over the lip liner. And now I'm actually just gonna use a lip brush to finish doing that because it's a dark color and it gets everywhere. So it's just easier and more precise to do it this way. Okay, so now the last step is just to use the lip gloss to go over the lipstick. Because this is a matte color, sometimes it gets like in the fine lines and it doesn't look so good after a few hours. So I found that if you just put a little bit of lip gloss over it, it helps it stay on and look better for a lot longer. And we're not gonna put this all over the lips because then it's too much, so we're just gonna put it kind of in the center. So that is the finished look. I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you next time.